I think that Tom Clancy really did something that cannot say really a restriction, but at least a guideline for us. Because for Clancy, although we may have some fantasy in our game, but that's not fairy tales. It's like a realistic fantasies. It's like what will happen.
We knew we wanted it to be near future. And again, we sort of started off at that point. Ghost Recon's a soldier of the future. We wanted EndWar to be the army of the future.
We've done a lot of tons of research before starting building up our units. Actually, the core concept behind all the unit design is one of the top-notch American technology, which is being developed right now. It's called the Future Combat System.
And that kind of became the cornerstone. So that was the US faction, and we kind of designed them first. And the key ideas for that future combat system is a very elite force, and it's a very mobile force as well, and there's very high sort of levels of technology and weaponry, so precision, lethality, survivability, maneuverability. It's genuinely sort of next-gen type stuff. They get the best drones, combat units. They're fast, they're very powerful on the vehicles, so they're just a very good balanced force.
For the GSF, for example, we wanted something heroic and really impressive.
And then we had to think, okay, what are the other factions, and how do they vary away from that? And Europe obviously has a very strong research and development industry for the military as well. So pretty much anything America's working on, someone in Europe's working on a competitive version. And the other thing we sort of took as an inspiration for the European faction is we imagined they're becoming the world's predominant peacekeepers. So we took the sort of stuff that you see in the UN or peacekeeping roles. So they've got more wheeled vehicles, non-lethal weapons, directed energy weapons, and they're coming away from a lot of that experience in places, Eastern Europe, Balkans, whatever.
For the European, we wanted something more technologic. Something blue with lights, shiny lights and stuff like that. Yeah, something like a little bit futuristic, near future, really near future.
European forces are balanced a bit more towards being lighter and the advantages of mobility, and also have some very effective directed energy weapons, so tactical high energy lasers, microwave weapons, all this sort of stuff that's in development now. And then finally, the Russians are much less worried about that trade-off between speed and power, so it's very much about power. So they're big, heavy, heavily armoured, and also in some ways they maybe don't have the same edge in technology, but they've been fighting high intensity conflicts between now and 2020 in the sort of former Soviet republics and so on. So very, very hardened veterans, very tough, very brutal. These sort of profiles, you have this sort of, they really fit very standard strategy archetypes. It's your balanced force, which is the US, your faster, lighter force, which is Europe, and your slower, heavier, tougher force, which is Russia. And players fit those play styles. Basically, players boil down into aggressive, defensive, and balanced.